Hello everyone, welcome back to Handmade Not Hallmark. Amanda here. I have got a fantastic card for you guys today using this amazing stamp set from MFT. It is the Friends with Fins. It's a Birdie Brown set and I cannot wait to show you this card. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Bristol Smooth cardstock and I'm taking Mermaid Lagoon Distress Ink. And I am also taking a Cracked Pistachio Distress Ink, and I am going to ink blend just a small portion of this panel. I only need a small bit because I'm going to be doing like a highlight on my card. I've done this technique several times. I've done it with holiday cards. I've done it with fall cards. It's one of my favorite techniques is styles of card that I like to do. So I'm just taking these two colors and I'm blending them together to get kind of like a nice oceany, like a greeny blue kind of color. I wanted something kind of light and bright to go with the card base that I decided to use. Now I know it has been a really long time since I've been here with you guys. Just the way that things have been going, I haven't really had a whole lot of time to craft. I've been working through the pandemic. I've got a family. We've had so many things go on here. I've just been so busy. I haven't had an opportunity to craft. I've just had so many other things I've been doing. We got a new puppy. He is so sweet, and I will insert a picture of him here. And he has taken up a lot of time too. So now that I have that all inked up, I'm just testing it with some embossing powder to make sure that it's dry. And as you can see, it wasn't very dry. So I'm going to put this embossing powder away and continue drying my panel. Get all the embossing powder cleaned off because I don't want to accidentally heat that up. I don't get it completely dry because I end up changing my mind and adding some of this shimmer spritz spray, and it makes my paper wet again. So I'm just going to kind of block that dry a little bit, kind of get that, oxidation happening with the Distress Ink. Hit it with my heat gun again just a little bit, and then I'm going to set it off to the side to dry. If you hear some barking in the background, that is our puppy. He's playing with our other dog. I did some pre-stamping just to save a little bit of time in the video. I just have some Copic friendly cardstock here, and I used MFT's Extreme Black ink, and I'm only using these colors for my coloring today. I'm using the warm grays, and I'm just going through and with my Copic markers, and I'm starting darkest to lightest. It's my favorite way to color, and I'm just adding where I think the shadows would go. I'm not, I don't really have a light source. I typically have my light source like kind of hitting them straight on, so the shadows kind of come around the edges, so it kind of gives them a rounded look. And again, I'm just using these warm gray colors to add the gray to these critters. Now you could make these dolphins any color. I've seen them any color. I've seen them blues, I've seen pinks, I've seen all sorts of colors. I just decided to go with the gray because I didn't want anything to, I didn't want them to get lost if I did like a blue colored dolphin with my blue background. I kind of wanted them to contrast. And then I'm going in with a second layer of color just to kind of intensify all of that ink. And these are really juicy Copic markers. I just refilled them and they're working beautifully. Just adding a little bit of color under his belly there. And we're going to go on to the next one, coloring it the same exact way, darkest to lightest. But I'm really excited to get back into coloring and crafting. Making this card was so relaxing. I actually got an opportunity to just kind of sit down and be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to make a card. I've gotten some new things in because they've had lots of releases. I definitely wanted to get this Birdie Brown set because, as most of you know, hopefully you know, that they're not going to be doing Birdie Brown anymore. So get those stamp sets as you can because they're not going to be around anymore. So I really wanted to use this set. I really thought it was adorable. These little chunky, chubby ocean creatures. They were just so sweet. Now with this orca, I wanted it to be more of a black color to match, the actual animal. So I went in with the W7 as my darkest, and I'll end up using the W3 as my lightest. I didn't want it to be completely black because then you wouldn't be able to see his cute smile and his little eye or any of the other details. So I just wanted to go with like a dark gray. Get that all blended in, and I'll go in with a second coat with my Copic markers. But I've got a lot of really great things coming. I've got lots of ideas. Now that I have the time that I can, set aside, each night to kind of relax and unwind and make some cards. And then for his belly, I'm just going to use the W1 just to add a little bit of shading to the white, blend it out with my colorless blender. And now that I have all of those colored in, I'm going to add some speckling or dotting detail. I'm using the darkest markers from each. It's kind of hard to tell here, but once I get them cut out and on the card, it adds a really cute detail. I really like adding this, especially to these sea creatures, because they do sometimes have a mottled look. And I just love how these turned out. And I don't have the dies for this, so I just fussy cut with my scissors, leaving a little bit of a border around, and I just love these little critters. They are so sweet. I just love how chubby they are, and I can't wait to use the other ones in the set as well. I've got a top folding A2 size card panel here. I just picked out some blue from my stash, excuse me, and I used my A2 Stitch STAX dies to cut these two blank panels so that I had stitching all the way around to kind of make that framed look. I'm also going to take the largest of the A2 Stitch stacks. I'm going to cut it out, cut out that panel I ink blended, and that is going to be the base for my card. So I get that nice strip of blue highlight, and it goes really, really well with that blue cardstock. And I wanted to add a little bit of something in the background. So I took the little fish stamps that come in that stamp set as well, and I decided to first stamp them down using some VersaFine ink and some clear embossing, because I didn't want them to be, I don't want to have a whole ton of fish, but I wanted to have something kind of shimmery in the background, kind of like fish do. And then I'm also going to stamp them using my distress inks that I use, the Mermaid Lagoon and the Cracked Pistachio. So I'll get all those stamped down. I'm really excited to do some cards that aren't Christmas. I know it sounds kind of weird because that's what I love to do, and I mentioned before that's all I was going to be doing, but there's been so many great things that come out, and I've had so many ideas with seeing these things, these new items come out, especially the Hello Bluebird. I went nuts with their new release, their May release, and I bought probably too much, but I can't wait to use them. I'm so excited, and I can't wait to share it with you guys as well. So I hope you stick around, and I'm so glad that those who are here have stuck in with me. I know, like I said, it's been a long time, but I'm so glad to be back, and I'm glad that you're here with me. So I'm just going to use my heat gun and heat up that embossing powder. Now again, you won't be able to see it very well unless you turn it into the light, and that's exactly what I was going for. I wanted to be kind of like shimmery fish in the background. Going to go ahead and put my embossing powder away so I don't blow it around. I haven't got a new case for this one yet because I had to get a refill. And as you can see with the light, with that panel sitting down there, you can see those fish kind of shimmer a little bit, and that's what I was looking for. And next I wanted to add some colored fish using those same distress inks. Now again, distress inks, especially these mini ones, they're not necessarily great for stamping, but you can do it just fine. And I apologize for the light glare off of my MISTI here. I'm trying to work on a new lighting setup, kind of working with a couple of things. I'm not happy with the way this lighting setup is just because it leaves a lot of glare, but I'm sure I'll figure something out. So now that that's all done, I just wanted to hit it with my heat gun just to make sure that they were nice and dry and that I didn't smear them when we start assembling the card. Now I'm going to take that panel and I'm going to glue it down using some Tombow Mono Multi-Glue. And the nice thing is that using this whole panel will help kind of stiffen up those two smaller panels, give them something to really attach to. Get that on there, and I love that nice thin blue frame around there. And I'm going to be using some 3M foam tape to pop up these panels to help kind of give the card some depth. I really like using this technique, and I will definitely share up in an iCard the two cards that I use this technique on. I used it for a Halloween card last year and a Christmas card I think the year before. So it's nice to kind of use different styles or, you know, layouts of cards that you've used in the past to create a new card. It works for everything. Next, I'm going to get the sentiment from the same stamp set. I'm sending you an ocean of love, and I'm going to be using the same extreme black ink that I used to stamp the images. And I apologize if my head gets in the way. I just wanted to make sure that was nice and centered and straight. I'm going to find my little guide here that I got from Simon. And again, that glare is just awful. I might have to figure out a new lighting technique or something to get that looking a little bit better so it's not so shiny. You guys won't have a glare. And get that lined up. Get it stamped down. So I hope all of you are doing well, and that everything is going good for you all, and that you're, you know, enjoying the fact that the weather is starting to get nice and things are starting to open up again, and we're able to go see our family members and things. It's going to be a really nice summer, I think. Better than last year for sure. Now that I got that all stamped, I can get it attached to my card base. Using the same 3M foam tape, I'm going to attach that panel I just stamped down to our card panel. Trim up the 3M foam tape to match. Gonna have to pick up a little bit more. This is starting to run out. But I really like this stuff because it's not super thick and adds just in the right amount of dimension. Sorry I got out of frame there a little bit. I was just taking the backing off. And lining up all of that stitching detail, and I just love the way that that looks. Okay, now I want to stamp on the inside of my card. I typically leave them blank, but I loved all of these images so much and the sentiments that I wanted to add something on the inside as well. So I'm taking the big whale and the I love you deeply sentiment on the inside, and I'm going to stamp it down with that same black ink that I used before. And I think I'm going to send this to my grandmother who lives in England. She lives across the ocean, so I figured it would be a nice little card to send to her just to let her know that I'm thinking about her. Get this stamped down. And I just love this little whale. He's so chunky. I love him so much. Oh, I love that sweet little smile. They're so cute. And I love the shark in this set too, because he's got that big toothy smile. I think it's so cute. Okay, now that we got that ready, we're going to add some finishing details on our little critters here. I'm going to take my black Sakura gel pen and I'm going to add highlight to their eyes to make them stand out a little bit better. And I'm also going to take a white gel pen and I'm going to add some more white dots to the same areas that I used with the Copics, just to add a little bit more detail to them, and I think it really makes them kind of come alive and be a little bit more realistic than just some flat color. And I didn't do as much white on the orca as I did the dolphins. I've seen dolphins in the ocean, they have lots of that kind of speckling on their heads and things. Just a little bit here on the orca, and then I also wanted to add the 3 like freckle marks that orcas have under their chin. I really thought that was a cute touch. And the last thing I wanted to do is I took my Stardust glitter pen and I added just a few dots just to add a little bit of shimmer to them. I know they really wouldn't shimmer, but I was kind of thinking that it might be water glistening on them, just to kind of get, holds true to that ocean feel. And I really like the way that this turned out. I think these turned out so cute. I love them so much. And my little boy loves them too. He loves all ocean creatures. I might have to pick up the dies for these ones because they're just so cute. All right, now we can get assembling. Just kind of laying out where I want them to go. And I ended up covering up that one group of fish that I had heat embossed, but I wasn't really that worried about it. I like the way that the layout is. I probably could have added another sea creature but I kind of like the odd numbers. And I'm just using some 3M tape to pop these up so that they're at the same level as the panel, so that the background, the panel in the back is a true kind of background. It's really in the back. And I liked overlapping the white areas with these as well, kind of add some interest to the card. And I had to trim that one just a little bit so that it would lay flat against that panel. The next thing I wanted to do is I wanted to add some sequins. I'm using the Sea Glass sequins from Simon Says Stamp. And just adding a few here and there. I really like this mix. I felt the colors really matched with the scene I was trying to create. I typically don't add a whole lot of sequins, but these ones just, I felt like they were perfect for an ocean scene. And my Marvy jewel picker, I think, is unsticky. I can't get it to work anymore, so I just ended up using my tweezers, and then I was struggling with my tweezers. I'm going to have to figure out a new way to pick up these sequins. This is probably one of the biggest reasons why I don't do a whole lot of sequins, is because I have such a hard time getting them on the cards. They just get away from me every time. The next thing I wanted to add was just a little bit more dimension, so I'm using some Nuvo crystal drops in Calming Aqua and Duck Egg Blue. I felt these colors were perfect for this card as well. And that will finish up this card for today. Again, I want to thank you guys so much for coming by. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit that like button. And if you're not a subscriber already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, as well as the little notification bell so you don't miss out on any more videos here at my channel. I'll see you guys again here real soon. Bye.